welcome Michaela to my humble little video slash podcast
Hi,
for
thanks
the
for
second
having
time.
me. Yes, but that's a secret.
No, not a secret. We can tell them. As you guys know, I have announced this podcast quite a while ago. Was it like months ago? Like
Yeah, I
two
think it
months ago?
was in April. No, I don't know.
Must
No.
have been a long time ago. And we actually did record the podcast, right? But the problem is that I actually screwed up from the technical side, and it wasn't very good. There were problems everywhere, technical problems. We did great, but then we're gonna have to repeat it now.
Yeah, the good thing is I said a lot of stuff I regret afterwards, so it's good to have a second chance.
Yes, it is actually good. Let's try not to do this one without editing and without saying compromising things. But hey, why don't we start from the same place we started last time, which is me asking you, like, yeah, you to introduce yourself to, the nice people that are watching us.
Yes. Okay. Hi, I'm Michaela, as you know. I'm a singer, I'm a musical actress, I'm a songwriter, I'm an actress. I speak a lot. I'm a speaker. Can you say that?
Yeah?
Yeah.
You mean Sprecher or you mean
Yeah.
voiceover things?
Something like that.
Yes.
So I basically do anything with my voice. I'm also a vocal coach. And I know you from our tour of Rent in when?
2017.
17.
Yes.
Oh,
If you guys,
it's quite a while ago.
3 years ago almost. If you guys don't know Rent, it's a rock musical from the 90s that was pretty huge, right? So if you don't know it, you should check it out. The movie version is not like the best thing out there, but hey, it's cool.
Yeah.
From the same guy that directed Home Alone.
I don't know that
What a
actually.
reference. You don't know Home Alone?
No.
Kevin allein zu Hause.
Oh, sure, I know.
Yeah. Yeah, but it's a great movie. A great movie. A great musical theater show. And yeah, I played Mimi, and Michaela was an ensemble member. She played many different roles, and she was also my cover.
Yes.
Because we look so much alike.
Yes. And I look like, yeah. I don't look like Mimi at all.
No.
No.
But hey, we could always put on a wig and your sass.
And lots of makeup, which we love.
Been great, yes. But I was not sick, luckily.
No, luckily you weren't sick.
For me and for you. I mean, we didn't have that many rehearsals, so
yeah.
it wouldn't have been that great. But hey, yes, it's great to talk to you again. We remained friends after that production, and we had a lot of fun together. And Michelle is here today because we're both vocal nerds, right? And we wanted to talk to you about the singing porn. That's
yes, that's what we called it.
We called it a singing porn, yes. So yeah, let's then jump right into the topic and talk about singing. I mean, we're both singers. And so if I would ask you really basically for someone who has absolutely no idea, what is singing? What does it involve? How does a person sing?
Mm-hmm. Well, what I tell absolute beginners is that it's basically the same as talking, just on different pitches. Because sometimes when people start singing, they make it super complicated. They try to yeah, make some artificial sounds, and they completely lose touch to their body. So
Yes.
I tell them, just talk and shout and cry and do every sound you already know,
Yes.
because that's what singing is,
Yes.
basically. So super
Exactly.
easy. It's not.
Very good. Yes, I've also noticed many people when they sing, they shift to something that, I would call the singer's voice. Just like, and they
Yes.
start making a voice, and it's like, why? And
Yeah.
when I say people, I include myself. I used to do that when I was very young. I thought making a cartoon voice was my singer voice, and no.
But you have a gift there, don't you? Like making cartoon voices.
Making cartoon voices? No, I'm not sure.
Or no, you told me once you sing like those, those mice from. You can sing like a mouse.
I can sing like a mouse. Well, yeah. If I make everything too squeaky, I sound like Mickey Mouse.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's not on purpose though.
that's a gift.
Not a great one. Hey, but so going back to singing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, but there are many different ways of singing, right? I mean, there are many different musical genres out there, and people sing differently. So if you would tell someone that doesn't know anything about singing, why does a person sound different from the other? For example, why does a rock singer sound super different from a let's say an opera singer, like opposite?
Well, first of all, we all have different bodies and different prepositions. Like I have a different nose, for example, and therefore different nasal cavities, or my neck is a little bit longer, or my tongue is formed in a weird way, or my teeth. All those factors make influence our sound and our vocal resonance. So besides all the vocal styles, we have our dispositions.
Yes.
And when it comes to style, we talk about different sound colors. So in opera, it's clear you have a specific sound color and you have to do it. So it's not, you can't choose, oh, I do this sound like this and then I add some distortion. No, you can't do that in classical singing. You have this round sound with lots of vibrato, this dark sound, and that also has technical reasons, because by using this sound you can sing over an orchestra. So you have to use this sound. It's different in pop music. You always have your microphone and you can do different stuff. You don't have to project as well.
Yes. Yeah, that's also an interesting fact that opera singers, well, they started singing a long time ago before mics, and they had to sing over the orchestras, and people in the back seats, they had to hear it as well. So yeah. And cool. So as a summary, let's say that what counts for you to sing and for you to project your own sound, it's your body, right? That it's a lot of physiology. And then you got the technique part of it, which would be what you learn and how you move your muscles and everything, right?
Yes. It's basically just muscle movement and positions, like position of the larynx, position of the tongue, position of your thingy, palate, your soft palate. Yeah. And these are just choices. So whether you go for a classical sound color or a more rock-like sound color, you make different choices in whether you lift your tongue, for example, and make the space in your mouth smaller, and therefore have a more forward, a more squeaky sound than if you like open everything and everything sounds round and classical.
Yes.
So.
All right. So let's say that, okay, you're an absolute beginner and you want to learn singing. Now you know that it's, you know, it's physiology and it's technique. So would you then say that anyone can sing?
Actually, I would say that not everyone can be a professional singer, because it's not only our physical position, but also our mental
Yeah, that's true.
disposition. So, and also our musicality. So there are a lot more factors that come in when you want to be a professional singer, but basically anyone can and should sing. That's what I say, and that's what I tell most of my students, because some of them are really afraid and are afraid to sound bad, and you know, but
Yes.
everyone who has vocal folds can sing.
Yes, absolutely. I agree with that. So
Yeah.
physiology, technique, and musicality.
Yes.
That already sounds good. Do you think musicality is something one can learn?
Yes. I mean, it's something you grow up with. People who don't have a lot of access to music when they're children, they really have a hard time learning music or develop a good hearing, you know. So if you grow up with a lot of music, when your parents sing a lot and maybe go to concerts with you, then it's easy. But if you start with music later on in life, yeah, it's just training. So it's not as easy to develop a good musicality. But also musicality is just training. So I, for example, I have I have a hard time keeping the rhythm. I think many singers have that. It's a singer's problem, maybe.
Many singers have that, yes.
Yeah. So for me, I have to train rhythm a lot more than melodies, for example.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, that's something very interesting. I, for example, I didn't grow up with a musical family at all.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Not at all. And I think I have a pretty good musicality in general, because there's some singers that, I mean, since we're talking about, they can have like good technique and they can have, you know, a physiology that helps them, but they don't have much musicality. That's something common in musical theater also.
Yes. It is. I mean, everyone has a different approach to music. Many musical actresses and actors come more from a theater point of view. So they sing because they want to express a certain feeling or want to play theater. Some singers come from a musical approach. So they sing because, they want to express the music rather than the feeling.
Yes, I think that would be the explanation why, you know, certain genres have a bit more musicality than others. And I think musical theater, since it's also something so technical and it's so trained,
Yeah,
I think, there might be some schools or some lines of learning that don't really focus a lot on the musicality of things, just like hitting notes.
Yeah.
Like I have to hit that note super hard and it has to be loud, but then it's like, you know, off beat, or like, I don't know. You know, that
you just explained musical theater in one sentence. I have to hit that note very loud.
That's unfortunately, guys, if you don't know musical theater, that's how it is, you know. You go to an audition, you have to show that you can hit this note super loud. If it's not loud enough, if you mixed it a little bit too much, next. That's funny. Right. So since we're talking about singing and we're going into styles and technique, I think it's a good time to ask. Okay, can you give us a little bit of the background that you have in singing and like what are the styles and the areas that you work with?
Mhm. Well, I started around when I was 16, sometime like that. I don't quite remember. And when I think back, I wasn't that talented. So I hit the notes, but I had like 3 notes range, and that was it. So I really had to take a professional training in order to develop my voice, because my voice wasn't naturally gifted. And I started with pop training, and well, it was like, you could say, how do you say it? I put the cart before the horse. So
You wanted to go too fast. I mean,
yeah,
yeah.
yes. And I started with like shouting songs, and I haven't developed my breath
Sounds
properly. And I
similar.
just, yes. So what I did the first, I don't know, 5 years, I only screamed a lot. Not like screamed doing metal, but I shouted every song, and I had no head voice at all. So that just didn't exist. And well, I experienced a lot that my parents, for example, or people who weren't from who didn't came from musical theater, always were like, do you really have to shout that loud all the time? And for me it was normal, because I only did musical theater, and I
Yes.
liked it, so everything had to be loud and shouty. But I think I think that trend also changed. So nowadays people like to mix a lot more than they did a few years
Yes.
back.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you started with pop music, right?
Mm-hmm.
Screaming and musicals. I mean, not screaming and metal, screaming
Yeah,
like an
yeah,
ah!
yeah.
And you landed in classical, right? At some point.
Yes, after my musical theater education, well, first of all, I did another more like pop voice education in Copenhagen, the CVT. Maybe
Oh, yes, very
we
important. Let's
talk
talk
about it
that a
later.
bit later. Yes.
Yes, but after that, yeah, I really wanted to develop my voice further, and I started with classical training. That was completely new to me and different to what I did before. And I still do classical training. I also do it on stage by now, so a few years have passed, and I learned a lot more. But for me, it was like, okay, there's something else in my voice that I can use. And back then, when we did musical theater and like switched to head voice, or just thought of using head voice, it was always like, oh no, you can't do that, it's
Forbidden.
weak, it's
It's
yeah.
forbidden.
But when I now look at classical singing, it's much harder. So you have to actually work a lot. It's not like cheating as it was back then. It's yeah, you really have to control your voice to do that.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So, just to give a little bit of context to people who are watching us and maybe you're not singers, so
Mm-hmm.
we've been talking a lot about pushing and screaming and head voice and
And
all these things.
straining and yeah.
Training. Okay, so let's say you want to start singing, right? And you're like,
Mm-hmm.
what the fuck? You know, you have like absolutely no clue what you're gonna do. You said already it's a bit like, okay, let's not fake a voice. It's a little bit like
Mm-hmm.
talking, whatever. And then it's like, okay, there are some songs that I can actually, sing along to, and some
Mm-hmm.
are just super high. And then it's like,
Yeah.
oh, I have no clue how to do that.
Yeah.
So, what would be like the tip, or how would you explain to a person who has no idea how does one sing, very low stuff and then
Yeah.
really high? Like, how would you explain that?
Beautiful. Beautiful demonstration.
How wonderful.
um, um, well, I work with beginners. I work like hours on breath support. Like, breath support is like the holy grail of singing.
Right, guys, take note. Breath support is
Yes.
the holy grail.
If you have breath support, you can do anything. So maybe to explain what breath support is like measuring the amount of air that comes out of your mouth.
Yes.
Very badly put, but I think it's easy to understand it that way. If I like put too much air pressure on my note, then my vocal folds can't resonate freely, so they will crack or something else. Something bad will happen. If I don't put enough air pressure, then also my notes crack. So I really have to.
So let's do a little demonstration of little air.
Beautiful.
Was it good?
And too much air. Yeah, beautiful.
That's a good one. That was awesome.
Yeah. Yes. If I have like this high note, I'm like, I'm holding back the air.
Yes.
Then I can't reach that high note. If I try to push it with lots of air pressure. Yes, I don't even want to demonstrate it because it really hurts if you like try to push it. For some people, it feels like holding back the air. It's like when you have this balloon and did I tell you that before? Yeah. This you have a balloon and you minimize the thingy and you have this squeaky sound.
Yeah.
Yes. Thank you for your demonstration.
You're welcome.
So, and that's a good example, because if you hold it too tight and no air can pass, then you don't have a sound. But if you don't hold it, then all the air will pass at once and you don't have sound either. Yes.
My demonstrations are perfect.
Beautiful.
Yes. Good. All right. So breath support is super interesting. Mm-hmm. And then something else, that you reach a point where you can sing some stuff that are lower in, not in volume, but in pitch. And that's something we're using some musical terms here that bear with us. So if you're singing lower in pitch, meaning you're singing something like this, and then you have a good control here, so you can actually have some power, but then you want to reach higher stuff. Like you want to sing, for the people that are watching here, you want to sing Exit Eden songs, you want to sing the chorus of Papa. You want to sing and play, I don't want to do this anymore. You want to do that stuff. So like, what's the trick then? What do you have to learn to be able to do that?
Well, in order to reach higher notes, you have to lengthen or stretch your vocal folds. But you can't do this actively. You can't say, okay, vocal cords, prepare for the high note. So what many beginners tend to do is they don't allow the larynx to move. So of course, when we talk higher, it moves a little bit up. When we talk lower or sing lower, it moves a little bit down. So we need to have flexibility. If I like push my vocal, my larynx down all the time, then I can't reach high notes. Okay. The same when I pull it up and I want to go low, I can't go low if I like pull it up. So we need to we need to have flexibility here to let it move naturally. Don't push it in any direction.
All right, that's a very good tip. Yeah. Yes.
And another tip is to use your resonance. Like if I have very high sounds, I rather use those cavities, like the nasal cavity and the Stirnhöhlen,
What's
here
this in English? Yes, this
let's say your third eye.
Your third eye.
Yeah. So your head resonance.
Yes.
So when you want to sing high, you use rather this resonance than your chest resonance.
So
Of course, yeah.
it's called the head voice.
It's called the head voice. And of course, we talked about CVT just a little bit, or I just mentioned
You just
it.
mentioned it, yes.
Yes. And CVT actually doesn't talk about head voice or chest voice because it confuses people.
Yeah,
People think like, oh, where should I go? Should I use head voice or chest voice? And I think it's like, when you go up, you automatically have to use those resonances. And when you go down, you use this. It doesn't have anything to do with sound color.
Yes. To me, what when I learned the CVT, what does it stand for again? Complete
vocal technique.
Yes, yes. So this is a school, right?
Yeah.
I mean, a methodology of teaching singing, and I found it really useful for me. Like Michaela really studied it. She went to Denmark.
Well, I'm not a certified teacher. I only did the 4 months training. So
okay, but that's like way more than I did so far. So
yeah,
I can't say I know like, oh my God, so much about CVT, but I did take some lessons, and it really, it kind of unlocked something for me that I was stuck in the head voice, chest voice. And I got to a point where I was like either pushing my chest voice super high and my head voice was just thin. Yeah. So I was like, how do I sing these notes with power without straining my throat? And that's how I got to CVT. And I was like, oh my God, this is amazing, because they completely demystify, they destroy the myth.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, like
they just put it in different categories that are, to me at least, they're easier accessible than the chest and head voice thingy.
Yes. And sometimes just a visual tip helps so much, because singing is so abstract. You know, you can't just practice like you do on the fucking piano. I mean, you have to like, okay, I think I'm doing the right thing. And sometimes just visualizing something. And for me, I mean, I was already singing professionally even when I got to the CVT classes. And then I kind of just realized that, you know, there was this whole part in between, and, you know, that could put more pressure and my head voice stronger. And to the point where sometimes I don't know if I'm mixing or if I'm not. Sometimes I'm just like, okay, I just have to make this sound, and that's what matters. Yeah. It doesn't matter if it's you know.
Yeah, that's actually a good approach. Yeah. Because if you're stuck like, oh, what am I doing right now? It's like, you also can get stuck.
Yes.
If you just go for it, then I think it's easier sometimes.
Yes. Yes. And instead of thinking, oh, I want this thing, this note with less head voice, like, oh, I want this note stronger. What do I do? You know?
Yeah. You need to find terms to describe your voice, and also for your students, you need to develop vocabulary, you know, that you know what you're talking about. And I think head voice or chest voice is just not helpful sometimes, because then people start straining and pushing because they don't want to sing rock songs in head voice. What they actually don't want to do is they don't want to sing a rock song in a neutral sound, like in a round and not so loud sound with no amount of metal.
Okay, so when you talk about a neutral sound and metal, what do you mean? Just for people that are listening.
Yes. So the CVT method is like, they have those 4 vocal modes. Not vocal molds.
Not the mold, not the shimmer.
So they have one that is called neutral, and this is the only vocal mode that has no metal in it. So what would you describe metal? Metal is like this ringing, sharp sound. So that's metal.
Okay, so if I talk like this, there's a lot of metal there.
Exactly. And neutral has no metal. So if I go like, ooh, that's all in neutral. It's very, very soft.
Okay.
Yeah.
Soft.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know. For example, you know any song in neutral? I don't know. Like,
Pop.
I wait until I saw the sun. Don't know why I didn't come. It's like very silent and soft.
Even when
and yeah, no, no, no,
yeah.
So that's neutral. That's the first. And all classical singers sing in neutral. Like the female classical singers, they sing in neutral.
Oh, really? That's like completely new information to me.
Yes. Except when they go really low, they go to overdrive. The female classical. High? Yes. Even if they go
still
high,
neutral?
they sing neutral. Yes.
But it's such a loud sound, and I thought that was like metal there.
It's loud. So neutral gets louder the higher it gets. But the tenors, for example, so the male high classical voices, they use edge as well.
Yes.
So it's a little different for women and men and male singers. Yeah. So when we go to the next level, we have what is it called? Curving. I always forget that one. I don't know why.
I love the curving, man. I love some curving.
I do it all the time, so I don't know why. That's what.
Yeah. So okay, we're talking about the 4 vocal modes, and the first one is neutral, which is a soft. But I just found out that it can get really loud.
Yeah, if I go like, I don't know, where's my microphone? I put it away.
I think it's your microphone doing that.
Oh, it's my earring. Sorry. Maybe I remove it because
it could be because it's like
always click, 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 click. Yes. If I go like very high and very classical, then it's still neutral.
Okay.
But if I go very low with my neutral, it's I can't go really low. I have to add some overdrive. Yeah, exactly. So at some point I have to switch into.
Okay. It's overdrive. Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Huh. But where were we?
Okay, the 4 vocal modes. Okay, the first one was we talked about is we just talked about it. Was neutral? Yes.
Neutral. Then
second one,
the one I always forget.
Curving.
Yeah, yes. Curving is like it's like a whiny holding back sound, like like I don't want to. Yeah.
Is it Britney?
Oh baby, baby.
I love it.
I said you were a good impersonator.
No, it's only my Britney. I have a few ones that are good. It's Shakira
and the Shakira. Yes.
Yeah. Shakira is good too. We'll get to her later.
Yeah, but Britney is a good example because if she sings like, oh baby, baby, how was I supposed to know? It's like all very held back, so I don't go like yeah. It feels like stomach ache. That's curving.
Okay. All right.
It's not. Okay. Yeah, it's not as loud as the other ones, but it has some metal in it.
Okay. Yes.
Yeah.
All right.
Then we go to overdrive. Overdrive is like a really raw and open sound. It's like, hey.
Okay.
Like really. I don't know where you use it. Like, for example, I have to remove it again. If I sing like, can anybody find me? Like, I really have this
overdrive.
Open, hey, yes. And, but, so overdrive is cool and loud, but it's limited. It's the only mode that is limited to a certain range. So for females, it would be, I can't go higher than C2,
No.
which is C5.
C5, yes.
C5.
Yes,
Yeah,
no, it's
in German,
really,
it's,
I feel that a lot because I use a lot of overdrive.
yeah.
And man, when it comes to the D,
Mm-hmm.
like our famous, what is one that the Let It Go? I think Let It Go is
Yeah.
even higher, but I used to sing a version on stage that
There's
ended
a D
Let the
somewhere.
storm rage on. It was a D.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that was like, I always tried to do it on overdrive, and I was like, oh, that's so awful.
But you did it in English.
Yes.
Okay, yeah. Because the vowel, the on, oh, it's actually goes for overdrive because all the modes are like
Yes.
bound to certain vowels.
That's why I changed it to
and here we go.
Then it was a bit easier to sing also.
And that is what we call edge. So edge is like, it sounds like overdrive, but with much more twang, like with the sound.
More metal.
And it's much more metal. It's actually the loudest and sharpest sound you can produce.
Yes. Which is pretty cool if you're singing rock, and especially heavy metal, old school heavy metal. I don't know if you know that stuff, but it's some of the things I do, like the super sharp high sounds. Men also do that. I don't know if you're aware of that. I'm like, I'm not warmed up now to actually try to do anything, but I could.
Show me!
This, for example.
Yeah.
Yes, that's
actually, well,
or not really.
Well, in CVT, they're much further in their Forschung, in their studies than they were a few years back. And actually, those sounds aren't that far away. So if you have like, especially in the high, like as high as you sang right now, it could be neutral, which sounds like edge, or it could be edge. So it's like very close. If I go like, it's totally neutral, or I go like,
it's almost the
not
same.
That it's almost the same, but it's so they're very close. So
interesting.
Yeah, and that makes it even easier, because even with those 4 modes, you were like, I have to choose this or this or this. But now they really approach it from a different point of view, that they're very similar and very near to each other. Also in terms of like how the vocal folds vibrate.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, very interesting.
Yeah, there's
in the end, you just gotta, first of all, produce a healthy sound. That's important. That's very important. And number 2, you need to produce a pleasant sound, or if it's not pleasant, it's like on purpose to cause an impression, right? But usually what I also tell my students is that the healthy sound is probably gonna sound better too. You know?
That's what I always tell them, is if it feels good, then I'm sure it sounds good.
Yes. And the better it feels, the better it sounds. That's also something I personally struggled with in the past, because I thought that, I was just a little bit stubborn and, stuck in some cliches of like, I don't want to sing head voice, like, I want to push my chest voice up. And, looking back at what I used to do in those times, it doesn't even sound that good, So it's like, look at that. Look at that.
Yeah. But maybe some people feel like they have to push or strain their voice because they feel like they can't do exactly the style they want to do if they always sing healthy. And that is not right. So what I like about CVT is that they help you to produce any sound you want. in a healthy way. It can
Yes.
even be a sound with distortion on it, which is more
Exactly.
interesting for you.
Which is the number 5, let's say the effects, something that come on
Yes,
top.
the effects.
Yes.
So because if I talk like to classical singers, they're like, oh my god, my voice and everything, and
They even
don't
talk
hurt
on
me.
this kind of this mode.
Yes,
They talk in
they always
neutral.
talk like that.
Always. They laugh in neutral. It's true. I know so
Yeah.
many.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And but the fact is, you can do any sound in a good and healthy way.
That's
So
true.
that's why I also want to encourage like metal singers and all this these styles to really do some voice training if they have like
Yes.
problems, or because they don't have to change the way they sing, just the approach.
Yes. Something interesting. I mean, since you are not, listening to metal music, or you're not in the metal community now, I can tell you an interesting fact that there is a lot in, let's say, not extreme metal, but like more melodic metal. There is a lot of melodic, clean singing, like a lot, both
Yeah.
men and women. And if you go to a little bit more hard rock style, like I don't know, I'm gonna give a big mainstream example, like Bon Jovi, right? That's typical, yeah. You have that little distortion there.
Yes.
Or
Yes.
like my friend from Exit Eden does, Anna Bruna. She also sings with a lot of distortion, and it's
Oh,
super
cool.
cool.
Yeah.
I'm not a distortion queen. I count a little bit on luck with my distortion.
Yeah, me too. But
So
actually, I don't ever practice it. So if we
that's
would
true.
practice it, it would, yeah.
Yes. And
But it's just not my way of expressing myself.
So yeah, there is
Yeah.
this distortion, but there's a lot of, let's say, the overdrive. The man that sing like this. There's a lot of that. Lots of vibrato going on.
Oh, okay.
Vibrato galore. It's like
Wow. Okay.
Liza Minnelli. It really is the vibrato party. And let's see what else, which is so it's going to
It's
a classical
interesting.
direction.
Yeah, it's very interesting because for me, as an outsider and not knowing anything about metal, I wouldn't assume that you're so close to classical singing, actually.
Absolutely, especially in symphonic metal with the female singers, it's very close to classical. It's basically everyone sings in a neutral sound. Basically everyone. I think last time that I did this podcast attempt with Michaela, I showed her some, let's say, the most famous female singers out there. So Tarja and a little bit of Florians, and yeah, she was a little bit shocked that they all sing quite classical. But yeah, it's all in this neutral sound. It's nothing like super edgy. But if you go to a more, let's say, rock and roll style, then there is more edge, there's more distortion. And if you go to extreme metal, the newer stuff that I like a lot, it's just effect. It's basically only false chords, right? Or mostly.
Also this grunting, like where you only use your
I cannot, like,
really?
I really wish I could do it, but I can't.
I can do it because I do it a lot. Like when I really don't want to do something, I'm like,
yeah. Oh, so that's how it sounds. Yeah.
It comes naturally.
Yeah, but I'm sure I can't sing a whole song without fucking up my throat like this. I'm sure.
No, you really have to control it very well.
And but actually, just a parenthesis, I'm gonna start some lessons on that, So because I'm really, really interested in doing that. Like I love listening to people doing that. So I would love to be able to do more of the screams than the grunts. So more the like the this desperate screams that also come with a tone. So I think it's not only false chords. So it must be like even harder to do it in a healthy way. But I'm gonna try to learn it. So I have also more to talk about. Yes.
Yeah, cool.
Because for now it's like, don't ask me.
Yeah.
If a student comes to me, it's like, I would like to learn to grunt, and I'm like, I'm sorry, I can't help you. I'm sorry. Got the wrong person. Yeah. Cool. So it's very interesting that people in metal are doing lots of, similar things to classic music. Yes. Yeah, man, would you have anything else to add to our singing porn? Any important points before I jump to the, I was going to say listeners question, but they are not listeners yet. They're, let's say, Instagram followers. They had some questions prepared for
maybe,
us.
yeah, let's switch to the questions because I'm sure that many technical questions will pop up anyway.
Yes.
So
yes, exactly.
Cool.
So I have all the questions in my head. Look at that.
Oh, wow.
Oh, wow. I don't trust it that much, but I thought like, I'm not going to write down because I know.
Okay.
Let's see. So the first question I remember is someone that used to sing for a while, a long time ago, and wants to go back to singing. So it was a he, and he was like, oh, can I sing like I sang before? Like, or do you lose your ability to sing if you don't sing for years?
Okay. Well, like singing is like any other thing you do with your body. It's mostly muscles. So muscles you can train, and I'm sure he can sing like before if he, what's that?
I don't know, though. It was something like this.
If he like really goes step by step and prepares his muscles to do what they did before.
Yes.
Singing is something that goes back and forth all the time, depending on how you feel, how much you have trained, how much you have slept. It depends on hormones and everything. So it's really not something that is static and fixed, and that's how it is. It can be like one day can be like super bad, and then the other day you're super good. So even if you haven't sung for many years, you can get back to a point where you're good. And even if you have sung for many years, you can come to a point where you say like, oh my God, I'm a total beginner. So it really varies all the time.
Yes, that's true. And on just a quick parenthesis on that, I have the experience that sometimes when you're trying to do something, you're trying to push your limits a little bit, learn something new, for example, and then you study a lot, and then you're like, I just can't get it. You know, you're like, whatever. And then you just let it be for a couple of weeks or months even. And then you try to do it again. And I always find that amazing how it's just there, or something is like, now I can do it. What, like how?
It was like, for me, for example, I had the experience in the past few weeks. I had a song with super hard and super high notes, and I really could do it easily at home. But then it came to the live situation, and suddenly I was like, how was I ever able to do this note? I couldn't do it live. So I was really like getting stressed and everything. So singing is also a mental issue or a mental thing. So if you have like, you cannot underestimate it. Even if everything is perfectly trained and fine. And suddenly you get afraid, and then you don't have the voice you used to have at home.
Yes, you're suddenly like, what do I do? You get a brain fuck of some sort. Then you're like, what is this? Yes. It's very funny. Also with singing with metal music, not many people know that, but man, if you don't have a decent monitoring situation in your ears,
oh my God, yes,
you're already in a world of trouble, because you got that drummer right behind you, right? And they're hitting it so hard. And I mean, that's it with my band Phantom Elite. We, until now, I mean, things are changing, but so far we did not have the most perfect live stage monitoring situation, because I was one of the only ones using in-ears. right? So,
Mhm.
but that also means that the guys were still listening from the wedges on the stage. So
Mhm.
everything was just loud and the mic was capturing the, the drums behind it because it always does. But then it was coming on
Mhm.
the wedges again. And the boys just, during the show, just telling the monitor guys to make the volume higher. And me,
Oh
I have
yes.
to make my monitoring,
Down. Yeah.
to lower the volume. And
Yeah.
at some point, you're just like, some
Yeah.
shows, and then we always have this song called Wasteland, which is pretty high as like
Mhm.
almost the last closing the show.
Yeah.
And I'm always like, how am I gonna sing Wasteland if I can hear shit?
Yeah.
It's very high. So I'm
Yeah.
always a little bit in pain in that on stage situations when
Mhm.
the sound is not
But
how
I
it's
think
supposed to be.
9 out of 10 times the sound on stage is yeah, below an optimum.
Oh,
Yeah.
but
So
yeah.
I think for me, I have had to get used to sing not by ear, but how it feels in the throat, how
Yes,
all the positions
absolutely.
feel.
Absolutely. That's
Yeah.
the number one tip is to like
Yeah.
I have a hard time with that. I'm gonna tell you. I really go a lot by ear, and I also have super hard problems if I don't hear the harmonies very well, like the guitars and the keyboards. If I
Hmm.
don't hear
Hmm.
that, I'm in a world of pitch problem. And then if I don't hear
Well, of
myself,
course.
I'm just gonna scream the whole time. So it's like,
Yeah. Yeah.
but that's
And
everybody's problem. I mean,
it's
everyone
yeah.
goes through the same
Yes.
thing. And all the
But
big
it's
singers I
really a
know.
trap. Like, don't start pushing if you don't hear yourself. It's also an issue of trust. You just have to trust the sound guy
Yes.
to do their job, and you do your job. So because some singers are like, oh my god, I can't hear myself, and yeah.
I mean, we've all had that Mariah moment in our lives. We were like, oh
Of
my
course,
God.
of course, it's much easier to sing if you hear yourself, but
Of course.
sometimes it's just not possible.
Yeah,
If
it's
there are
just
like
how it is.
50 singers on stage, and not everyone can hear themselves.
Yes, that's true.
So,
That's true. But I must say that with musical theater situations, I used to struggle way less with sound. I mean, I struggle less than with a metal band on stage because
yeah, of course.
it's
Yeah.
just different. And if you look at all the big metal numbers, they all have they
Mhm.
have their team that works with them, that's used
Mm.
to doing things in a way
Yeah.
that they're used to, and all of them have the in-ears, so they
Mhm.
don't have loud sounds on stage anywhere, so you can have your own mix, and
Yeah.
everyone else has the same situation. So when they have a monitor guy only for the stage and a
Mhm.
sound guy for the
Wow.
audience,
Okay.
that's amazing. But us, as a small band, tiny stages and tiny budget, sometimes we struggle a lot. And my band
Mhm.
Phantom Elite, for
Yeah.
example, is very heavy. I mean, it's quite heavy, it's not very heavy,
Mhm.
it's quite
Yeah.
heavy. So you know
Yeah.
there's a lot going on at the same time, and it's like if you don't have at least a decent sound, the show gets
I
compromised a
know.
little bit.
Yes, I
Yeah,
know.
and
It's
unfortunately
much
that's
easier with my band because we only have piano and bass, and that's it. So it's super chill.
what a dream.
It's a
What
dream.
a
Yeah,
dream.
it's super easy.
Oh man. Oh,
Yeah.
if my boyfriend would hear me right now, he is the drummer of Phantom Elite.
Oh.
He's a, he's very heavy. He's a very heavy drummer. But I mean, that's good, right? That's why also the song's like.
Yes,
But,
that's where the energy comes from. So you need that
yes,
actually.
yes. And I mean, I love the energy, and like I said, I love
Yes.
hard music, and I like extreme metal. But it's like when I'm singing, it's tough. Right. Okay, so let's go to the next question that I have in my head, and there was I remember
Yeah.
Vivian, who's also a singer.
Uh-huh.
She asked me if we have any tips for her or exercises to bridge the gap between, or not to bridge the gap, to smoothen the you know, the slide to chest voice and head voice. So we talked a lot about that the whole episode. So I think we're gonna get some pretty good tips, but like some exercises.
Well, like we said, like don't even think about it. It doesn't exist. That was
Just don't
our
think about
tip
it
so far. No, but what I do a lot and what I love is to sigh a lot. Like because then I don't have this break. Yeah, I do sirens like the same, like I do lots of like a creaking door.
I don't have that high thing you have.
And what I also because sometimes I also experience this break, and when I do this siren like right before the point, before I like smooth into chest register, it's like I slow down my airflow, or I think even more about supporting this passage. Like I go like super relaxed from and now I have to think about like I slow it down, I pull it a little bit, like
so other thing that is also very good, I find, it's the lip vibration or the tongue vibration. So and everything not super, not pressing, but that just soft, or that stuff also helps a lot.
True.
So
and also if you think of a direction, like if I think the sound has to stay here, then I don't think about what happens here if it like flips, or I just think, okay, I remain here. If I go down, like or
that's also the movement I make with my hands when I'm doing this stuff.
Yes, lots of movements.
So that helps. That really helps, because once again, singing is so abstract.
Yes, it is.
It is, unfortunately, yes. And do I have any other questions? Yes, I do have one question about the difference between singing live and recording, if there is any difference between that. That's a good one.
And that's a good one. There are actually many differences.
Yes, one of them we already just talked about, which is, well, the variables live are way, you know, they're way that there's pressure, there is the sound that you have in your ear, there is the mental pressure.
But it's not only like, it's not a disadvantage per se, because when you sing live, you're like in the moment, and everything that happens in the moment, that is it. If you're in the studio, it can happen that you start like, I didn't like that sound, oh, let's change that, and you completely like deconstruct it, and then in the end you have perfect sound, but the song doesn't exist anymore.
Okay, that's feeling, also something.
That's something.
True. Well, I tend to, I mean, everyone says like, I like when I have some adrenaline before going on stage, or I like the pressure. I don't. I really don't, because the more relaxed I am and enjoying, the better it is. If I'm nervous, I'm sure I'm gonna, you know, there's gonna be a little bit of blocking, and I just don't like it. I mean, for me, I enjoy singing in the studio because there's no pressure. Perfect.
I mean, for me, I had a premiere 2 weeks ago, and I was again super nervous. Oh, sorry, again a call. I'm back.
Okay, you're back. You had a premiere?
I'm back. I had a premiere and I was super nervous, and I'm never good at premieres, so I never invite anyone. But the second show is like, okay, I know everything. Everything is going to be fine. But what I thought, oh my God, this guy's like super beautiful right now. Sorry.
Okay. And my cam is showing me things, and I was like, am I connected still? I don't even know. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. But what I did before this premiere was I did a meditation, because singing is a lot of singing is also mental, as we said before. And there I heard a sentence that I actually never thought before. It was like, I strive under pressure.
So, I strive under pressure.
Yes.
Okay.
And I was like, oh, okay. Yeah. That's actually a good thought, because
so you meditated on that.
I meditated on that like super. And then I felt better.
Really?
Yes, because I was like, I'm not good when I'm nervous. I sing much worse when I sing live. Yeah. And then I
when
thought
I'm nervous.
Then I thought the opposite of it, and it helped actually.
Good.
But that was not the question, actually.
No, but if there was a difference, and we said yes, there's a bunch of differences.
Yes.
And, that's one of them. I mean, there are many. Yeah, the difference that I used to feel until a little while ago is that everything you do on stage sounds more, at least for me, because I sing, rock. So it has to be, at least a little bit aggressive. And I don't know what I could, maybe I could point it on, the power, the energy of having someone interacting with you. Your voice, your singing gets more intentional, more powerful. But I used to always think that my voice sounds boring when I'm recorded. There's like, oh, okay, I'm sorry, I'm too honest. I say these things. The Phantom Elite album, the first one that we recorded out there at Wasteland. I listened back to it and I'm like, oh my God, I sound so bored. Like I'm bored. And it's like incredible how you think you're really giving a lot in the recording. You hear it and you're like, nah, it's not that.
Yeah, I can relate to that, because we recorded our album last fall. No, it came out in fall. We recorded it in spring, and it was the same. So we use a lot of funny lyrics, so you really have to listen to the lyrics. And I sang it, so I didn't really interpret it as much as I do on stage. I don't have to think about it when I do it on stage. I just tell the story, and that's it.
Exactly. Yeah.
And in the studio, I really thought a lot about how do I sing it. And that's actually never a good approach, because it gets boring.
Exactly, that you sound bored, and it's
you can
so
sound
weird.
very nice, but it doesn't touch anyone.
Boring.
If you just sound nice.
Yes. And I lose also. I start singing, let's say more technically, I start losing edge. I start losing, the metal. I go into a, let's say, I want to sing the whole day, so I want to sing, as protected as possible. So I start singing too neutral. And then I'm like, no, I don't like that. And I never do that live. Live is the opposite. I always have the tendency of giving it even a little bit too much. Yeah. Right. Well, so that's it, boys and girls. I hope you enjoyed having this singing porn conversation with me and my dear friend Michaela. And I hope this was entertaining and a little bit useful for you. Yeah, so you can also understand a little bit more how, singer's mind works, the things we go through. What is it that we do? I mean, were we just born doing this? The answer is no. Not in our case, at least. Some people are.
And I hope we answered all the questions. Otherwise,
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah,
just
otherwise you
call
can always
Marina,
just, you know,
she's an expert.
you can always just text me or Michaela, you know,
Yeah.
DM, and we'll try to answer it for you. So that's it. I hope you have enjoyed this, what is supposed to be the first episode of my podcast, Keeping It Real. And that's what we did. Did we keep it real? We did. We kept it very real. And I'm going to try to edit this the minimum I can, just the technical bleep, so you can get all the rawness that is so important for this podcast. All right, guys. So, thank you so much for having me here. Guys, go follow her. She's a great singer. She's a great songwriter. She is a great vocal coach. So if you want lessons or anything, just talk to her. And I'm also still offering some online coachings for now, and I would be happy if you guys came to me as well. And
yeah, it's actually not that bad, because many students were like, online Skype lessons, I don't know, but it actually works. So in times like these, sometimes it's better to do it online.
Yes, it's easier when someone is in front of you, but you know, you don't have to deal with delay, and you can't really accompany people on the piano, but you know, there are ways, and it's really better than nothing. That's it, guys. So I hope you enjoyed, and stay tuned for the next one, which is going to be pretty special with another girlfriend of mine. That's it. Bye-bye.
Bye.